All right, continuing the list. At number 60, we've got another tie. Can't choose just one in this franchise, so I'm going with the entire trilogy. Evil Dead. The Evil Dead trilogy. These are Sam Raimi's best movies by far. I love Spider Man 1 and 2, but the Evil Dead trilogy is awesome. I mean, come on. Who did no there's nobody out there who doesn't love the Evil Dead trilogy. Even if you don't like horror movies. Uh, for Army of Darkness is just flat out funny. I mean, it's really less horror than it is a comedy. The first one is definitely a horror movie. But if I had to pick just one, I would say, of course, Evil Dead 2 is the best of the trilogy. It's crazy, zany comedy. It's over the top, gross out horror. It is Bruce Campbell being Bruce fucking Campbell, okay? Uh, just an amazing trilogy of films. A perfect trilogy of films. I know they're doing a remake. I wish they'd do Evil Dead 4. You could do this series forever. Bruce Campbell could be in his 70s, and this would still be funny. So, Evil Dead, great trilogy of films. Number 59, Donnie Darko, and specifically Donnie Darko, the director's cut. Um, Another movie like The Fountain that, I think confuses a lot of people. It doesn't confuse me as much as everybody else, but I will admit that there's some things where I'm watching I don't really understand fully what's going on. That's one of the great things about it, though. I mean, this is another visual feast for the eyes, but it's got ideas in it. It's an idea movie, and you've got to respect that. When someone like Richard Kelly comes and says, you know what, this isn't going to be a commercial movie. It's not going to make $250 million. We're just going to make this movie that will make people think. That is admirable. Again, I can't even begin. It's got something to do with time travel. It's got something to do with the end of the world. Uh, Great performance by Jake Gyllenhaal, easily his best performance. Check Donnie Darko out. Fantastic movie. All right, number 58. The name's so great you got to say it 3 times. Come on, say it with me. Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice, motherfuckers. Beetlejuice is awesome. Uh, Holds up today as well as it did when I saw it when I was 8 years old. By the way, the last movie I ever saw in a theater that had a Warner Brothers short in front of it. I remember seeing this in the theater, being 8 years old and seeing a Warner Brothers cartoon. Um, Michael Keaton, where have you gone? Where is Michael Keaton gone? He is so funny. He is like the, I've heard that they might replace Bill Murray for Ghostbusters 3 and have a different actor play Peter Venkman. The only way you can get away with it is if it's Michael Keaton. Um, just again a satire, but maybe the best ghost movie ever made. Um, it's so original, and it's Tim Burton doing what Tim Burton used to do before his man crush on Johnny Depp got way out of control. It's Tim Burton making these crazy, surreal, hysterical films that with these visual effects that are amazing. They don't look dated at all. When people say that practical effects are better than CGI effects, I think that's true for the most part. I think there's occasions when CGI is necessary. But if you look at Beetlejuice, if that I know they're going to do a sequel to Beetlejuice, they're saying it's going to be all CGI. I think it'll be crap. It's not going to be nearly as charming as the practical effects in the original movie were. Go check it out. Funny movie. All right, we got another tie here, and this was the hardest. This was the last set of movies to actually make the list because there's two competing franchises that I had to choose from, and it was really difficult for me to pick one. But I did. So, coming in at number 57, Batman Begins and The Dark Knight. Yes, I chose them over the Tim Burton movies. And if this list could go to 200 in the, like maybe number 101 on my list would be Batman and Batman Returns. But in the end, what I thought was, I said, Joel Schumacher, fuck Joel Schumacher, okay? His movies are a separate thing. Those are not sequels to the Tim Burton movies. I don't give a shit if, like, the same actor plays Alfred and Commissioner Gordon. Um, I had to pick Nolan. I had to because when I thought about it, I thought I probably would, include The Dark Knight Rises when it comes out. I mean, I think it's a very remote chance that The Dark Knight Rises is going to be anything less than a perfect 10 film. And so really knowing that, it was not really a competition between the two Nolan movies and the two Tim Burton movies. It was a competition between the Nolan trilogy. This complete from beginning, and it has a concrete ending that's coming. Which, by the way, I don't think a superhero saga's ever had. To have Nolan have the balls to say, Batman 3 is the end. It's a trilogy. There's not going to be a fourth movie. This ends it for me. That takes guts. And I love Tim Burton. I think that what was lost in the Nolan movies was the sense of fun and comic book excitement that Tim Burton was able to capture. That is important for Batman to have. But Nolan went the opposite way, and I think that was the smart thing to do. He made a different movie from Tim Burton. And his is grounded in reality in a way that no other superhero franchise is. And fucking Heath Ledger is the Joker. Come on. Yeah, that had to be on the list somewhere. Moving up to number 56, Saving Private Ryan. Hard to imagine a better war movie for me than Saving Private Ryan. And a war movie, too, that makes you feel, I love Casualties of War and Platoon and Born on the 4th of July and movies like that. But the World War II war movies, you can actually get behind what's going on. The Vietnam War movies, it's always, in the Iraq War movies, you're sort of watching it going and not comfortable with what the American soldiers are doing. So, World War II war movies, you can get behind. You're going to shoot a Nazi, good for you. Saving Private Ryan is maybe the best war movie ever made. I mean, it's Spielberg making something that is compelling. You care about the characters. The action is about as realistic as you can get without just actually killing people. You've probably all seen it. It deserved to win the Best Picture Oscar. Who remembers Shakespeare in Love? Not many people. Saving Private Ryan, great film. Coming in at number 55, a newer movie, Good Night and Good Luck. People respect this movie. George Clooney made it. He directed it. People respect it, but it didn't get the box office it should have, and it didn't get the awards it should have. This was the best movie that came out that year. About Edward R. Murrow and his fight with Joseph McCarthy. It's great because they made this movie that feels like it could have been made then. And the performances are spot on. Everything about this movie is perfect. I hesitate to use that word. It is maybe one of the most perfect historical period pieces ever made. And the black and white cinematography is gorgeous. Whenever anybody says, oh, I don't like black and white movies, I would say watch Good Night and Good Luck. Because that's a movie that couldn't be made in color. Couldn't be. It would have completely lost all sense of time and place if you'd made it in color. Let's get immature. Let's get immature for my number 54 pick. Movie I loved when I was a little kid, and still love to this day. Gremlins. Gremlins is great. If you haven't seen Gremlins, what's wrong with you? Gremlins is it's if you're not into horror and you like, nicer, cuter movies, Gremlins is for you. Look at Gizmo. Look at Gizmo. Come on, he's adorable. And then there's the fucking Gremlins, and they scare the shit out of you. It's just a... And thank God they don't make a Gremlins 3 or a reboot or anything where everybody's CGI. That would be crap. These are puppets, and there's a reason they're puppets. Puppets can do things that CGI... that there's a limitation to what puppets can do, and there's something charming about that. Gremlins, I know Gremlins 2 almost tied where I would have said that Gremlins 2 should have been on the list. But in the end, I really think Gremlins 2 was a big step down. But the first movie is classic, one of the great Christmas movies. You gotta watch Gremlins every Christmas. We're gonna get into classic territory now. Number 53, Double Indemnity. One of the great film noir. I mean, come on. This is... And most of you, I'm gonna venture to say that a lot of you haven't seen this movie. You don't like... If you don't like 1940s detective movies and stuff like this, Double Indemnity, you would like. Fred MacMurray, absent-minded professor, being just a badass in this movie. Barbara Stanwyck giving maybe the sexiest performance in film history. This is a sexy movie. This is the kind of movie where they took a lot of chances making this movie back then. You always just miss them having sex. You know what they just did. It's not like they're fooling you. They're not trying to. They got away with a lot considering the limitations of the time. Really awesome movie. Please go see it. It is a classic for a reason. Number 52, The Truman Show. A movie that still moves me to this day, a movie that becomes more prophetic as time goes by. Jim Carrey playing a man who doesn't realize that his entire life is being filmed for a reality TV show, that his whole world is artificial. How could that's more relevant every day? And Jim Carrey proving, like with Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, like with I Love You, Philip Morris, like with Man on the Moon, he is a great actor. Beyond just doing like the Ace Ventura sort of rubber-faced goofy stuff, he is a great actor. Most of you have probably seen this movie. If you haven't, you really are missing out. I insist that you go see it, and then you report to me and you tell me what you thought of this movie. It is fantastic. Number 51, last on our list for today, is actually the newest movie, the newest addition to this list. The last movie released came out in 2010. I love it. I know a lot of you love it. Inception. This movie, I will tell you right now, I know it lost Best Picture to The King's Speech. Here's the difference between The King's Speech and Inception. People will remember Inception. The King's Speech was a good movie, but it was a period piece, and there's a million movies like The King's Speech. Inception was something entirely new. They will be teaching this movie in script writing classes, in filmmaking classes for the next 50 years. For as long as they make movies, they will be talking about Inception. It is Christopher Nolan's best movie. Yes, it is better than Batman Begins and The Dark Knight. It is Leonardo DiCaprio's best performance. And I'm not going to spoil the end, but the end of that movie, I mean, you're literally watching up to the last millisecond of that movie, and you can debate what happened. I can't, I want to, actually, I would love to do an entire video talking about this movie, but I would completely spoil it for everybody. I'm not even going to tell you the premise of the movie. You know it's got something to do with dreams, but that's all I'm going to say. Inception is worth your time. It is a big blockbuster movie the way big blockbuster movies should be, with a brain.